In 2001, John Paul was in Kazakhstan 13 days after 9/11. And he told the leaders of that Islamic Republic, he warned them against what he called a slavish conformity to Western culture. He said, they have great scientific advancement, but they are morally, spiritually, and humanly impoverished because of the fatal attempt to secure the good of humanity by repudiating God, the supreme good. And when we look at the culture that you people are going into, it's a culture in which the intentional infliction of death on the innocent is widely regarded as an optional problem-solving technique. Columbine set a precedent. If you don't like your schoolmates, your fellow employees, or IRS agents, you blow them away. Abortion is the classic example of the execution of the innocent as a problem-solving technique. And we're talking about a situation where Terry Schiavo is this remarkable case. Well, that happens every day. It happens every day whenever, without public notice, whenever the family and the caregivers agree to withhold food and water because it would be better for the patient to have death with dignity. And this is the culture in which you're moving. And the thing is that there's no mystery about it. Father Frank Kahneman, the great Jesuit from Fordham, said that we are living through the fag end of the Enlightenment, the dying phase of the effort by philosophers and politicians to build a society without God. And it's based on three lies. They are, first, secularism, second, relativism, and third, individualism. These are the components of what Benedict called the dictatorship of relativism. And your job, for which you're well equipped here at Christendom, your job is to counter those lies with the truth. Because those lies are weapons deployed by Satan, who is our adversary. And when you speak the truth, you're going to have an impact beyond what you know. Cardinal Edouard Gagnon recounted a conversation he had with John Paul. I could read it to you, but I'll tell you what he said. He said, the Pope said to me, and he's quoting the Pope, he said, the Pope said to me, error makes its way because the truth is not taught. Do not spend your time rebutting the errors of those who are wrong. There are so many that would never end. Instead, teach the truth. When you teach the truth, a grace goes with it. That person may not accept it at that time, but that grace will be there, and later when he needs it, that grace will open his heart and his mind to the truth. But if you don't speak the truth, no grace goes with it. This is very useful, I think, for us. We're talking about faith, we're talking about Christ. And Jesus Christ is not some lawyer or CEO or community organizer. He's God. And Cardinal Dulles stated three fundamental principles. He said, first, there's a God. Second, he has made a full and final revelation of himself in Jesus Christ. And three, the Catholic Church is the authorized custodian and teacher of that revelation. So your job is to tell that truth and not to be conned by these lies. The first lie is very quickly, the first lie is secularism. They tell you that there is no God or he is unknowable. And they tell you that that's what the First Amendment means, but that too is a lie. On September 24th and 25th, 1789, I remember it well. The first Congress did two things. They adopted the First Amendment, and they called on the President to proclaim a national day of prayer, and President Washington did so. And the purpose of the First Amendment was to maintain federal government neutrality among sects while preserving the ability of federal and state governments not only to affirm the existence of God, but also to pray. Our Supreme Court now has changed that to require a bogus neutrality, an impossible neutrality between theism and non-theism. Justice Brennan accurately stated what is still the Supreme Court position when he said, the words unto God don't have to come out of the Pledge of Allegiance because they may merely mean that this nation was believed to have been founded under God. The suspension of judgment on the existence of God is an establishment of an agnostic secularism. And you know what it's based on? It's based on the idea that any affirmations of God are non-rational. And that's a lie. The existence of God is not self-evident, but it's unreasonable. It's stupid not to believe that there was an eternal being that always existed and had no beginning. That's God. The alternative is that there was a time when there was nothing. I want you to think about this, and this will blow your mind. You walk around, don't get hit by a truck while you're doing it, but you think about it. Imagine, if you can, a time when there was absolutely nothing. And if there was a time when there was absolutely nothing, there couldn't be anything. How many in here have seen The Sound of Music? Yeah, all right. You remember that scene down by the lake where the guy proposes to Julie Andrews, right? And she thinks that's pretty neat. And she breaks into song, all right? What did she sing? Climactic scene of the whole movie. What did she say? Yeah, she said, how is this happening to me? She said, somewhere in my youth or childhood, I must have done something good. And then the punchline, nothing comes from nothing. Nothing ever could. That's classic Thomas Aquinas. It is. It is. I have to confess, I like to cite Aquinas and refer to him. Some of you may know St. Thomas Aquinas was a graduate of Notre Dame Law School. He was. I had him in torts. He got a B. But listen, don't let them con you, all right? The only basis, why do you have rights against the state? The only basis for transcendent rights against the state is the creation of the immortal human being in the image and likeness of God. Every state that has ever existed has gone out of business or will go out of business. Every human being who has ever been conceived will live forever. That's the basis for transcendent rights. The person does not exist for the state. The state exists for the person and for the family. The second lie of Satan here is relativism. And the statement that all things are relative is absurd because that statement must also be relative.